Hey everybody, it's time to update the SBA PPP and the EIDL disaster loan, and let's talk about all the changes that have happened since the last video. I'm here to help, I'm here to serve, so hopefully you find this information very helpful. I'm actually going to have to read a couple emails as part of this video because there's so much information that has come out in the last 48 hours. Okay, so the first thing is, it's April 16th, 2020. And we found out that the SBA, the Small Business Administration, is out of money for the PPP. That's right. You snooze, you lose. If you weren't in on this early, if you didn't apply, if you didn't get approved, if your bank wasn't working hard for you, sorry, you missed the boat as of right now. And we obviously know that they're doing their best, that Congress right now and everybody's doing their best to try to get some more funds approved. But as it sits right now, there's no extra fundage for businesses. It's been gobbled up, which is very difficult to believe that it got gobbled up that quickly, $350 billion. But if you think about it, if I remember correctly, I saw something that said each business can qualify up to $10 million. It obviously depends on your payroll. You can't just get $10 million. You had to have enough payroll to support it and things like that. So for me, today is great news. Out of my businesses, I got a business that got funded today by the SBA PPP. Yes, I got my check. I signed my paperwork. And there's a couple things that I want to tell you about the process that I learned. You should know this. The first was that when I was reading all the documents, you've got your, the bank creates all the various documents, and then some come probably from the local, your local state, or directly from the SBA, which they probably take as like a template and then just make the corrections to fit your business information, your name, and all that jazz. But there was something interesting that I noticed on the note. I think the note was something like 6 or 7 pages. And so I quickly read through it, and I realized in this SBA PPP note, of which supposedly there's a forgiveness provision that if you use the money for payroll, rent, utilities, that's going to be forgiven, right? That's like a big, big plus. This is why everybody's so excited to get into it, is you can hire your people back, you pay your people, and supposedly that part turns almost into effectively a grant. Well, in the actual note, there is nowhere that it talks about the forgiveness portion. And I pointed it out to my banker. Can you believe that? I'm dead serious. For those of you that have signed it, read your note. Please let me know if I'm wrong or if just my bank did that and your bank is different. But the one that I used had no forgiveness provision. So I asked them. I said, hey, kind of in a tough pickle here, right? We've got to get this thing signed. I got to get this check. The check was already written out. It was already sitting there. Just got to sign the documents. Well, I want the money, but give me some assurance that I'm not just getting a loan here. Granted, the loan would be a good loan. I think it was 1% interest, after I think it's 6 months deferred, right? So I have to start paying till like October, November, something like that. That's great. And then 1%, but I'd rather not pay any of it back if I don't have to, right? So I had them send an email to me before I signed it that basically confirmed that, hey, per the SBA and the president and all that stuff, that this portion can be forgiven. But it's kind of interesting to, because I've always been taught in business, what rules is what's on the paper, not what people say, not what people email, it's what you're signing. So I went against the grain. I went against my own principles. I'll be teaching this someday. I can't believe I did it. We had to sign the paperwork today, and I just hope everything will be fine. Again, just didn't really have a choice at this point. Had to take it and run. I trust the bank so far. I think it's just kind of funny that's what happened. So if we're talking about, so the next thing would be the EIDL. That's the disaster loan that everybody tried to apply for quickly. They filled out the online application. There's supposed to be a checkbox where you check for the $10,000 immediate relief. I did that, and I haven't heard anything from the EIDL. And it took them like 2 weeks to respond to an email. It was a very generic response. But I pulled up, I got an email that had a lot of information. And I wanted to try to quickly sum up and read some of this information. Maybe you guys will find it helpful. Okay, so they're summing up obviously what the whole, PPP is and the EIDL. And they said that you can actually get both loans. Some people don't know that, they're confused. Yes, you can. However, in this email, it says that the funds cannot be used for the same purpose. So that would lead me to believe you want to get the PPP loan first, use that for payroll, rent, utilities, because that can be qualified supposedly for being forgiven. I'll believe it when I see it, 2 months from now when I send them the documentation and I get something in writing that says that it's forgiven. So I'm pretty sure there's a high likely chance that it's going to be forgiven versus not, but I want to let you all know that. So if you get this other loan, the EIDL, I guess you use it for like inventory or something else. You just can't use it for the same purpose. That doesn't make the EIDL as exciting for me. And if I remember correctly, that loan had a higher interest rate. I want to say it was 3.75. That's just the number that shoots out. If somebody could please comment, let me know. I'd love to know what the interest rate is. I'll probably look it up here in a little bit. Okay, so they're saying in this email, and this email, by the way, came from Disaster Customer Service. Okay, so it's to make sure, Disaster Customer Service, the number 3 at SBA.gov. So it's straight from the SBA. It says, if you're applying for both, you can accept PPP first, then decide whether to close on your EIDL approved loan. The EIDL application period runs through December 2020. So that kind of leads me to believe that we've got plenty of time. Like even though you get approved, you don't have to accept the money, you don't have to sign anything, just kind of play it by ear and see how you do. This was a pretty simple email actually, kind of gave some good information. Okay, so anyway, so that's that part. So again, SBA is out of money right now. I made a post on my own personal Facebook today that I would like to talk about this morning. I saw that the White House had tweeted that, the Democrats don't want to sign the bill because of yada, yada, yada. And most of you that know me know that I'm not interested in discussing politics and all that stuff. I'm not trying to take sides or go in any of that direction. But I do want to make a statement, just a general objective statement. This country, the world is in crisis, but this country is in crisis mode, all right? Literally declared like not natural disaster, but we're in a disaster. This is in crisis mode. People, do not try to bundle up other political agenda with this SBA PPP thing. Please don't do that. And I talked with a friend today. I asked him, because I'm unfamiliar with all these bills and stuff, and he said, all these bills are 300 to 600 pages long. It takes forever to go through them. Who has the time to do that? It's very simple. We need Democrats and Republicans to come together. This is a time of America, people. This is not a time of disagreement. We all need each other. The little guys, the medium guys, the big guys, and even the uber rich. They don't want all of us to not do anything, right? They need us too. This is yin yang. This is something where the world needs each other. So I really hope that Washington gets their crap together and signs this bill, because this country is not going to be the same if all these small businesses go too much longer. A lot of them are going to fail, and that's going to create a severe domino effect. The dominoes have already been falling. We've been seeing the ramifications just from this virus, and we've only been shut down for a few weeks here in the United States. So, it's interesting, when I see a lot of comments come through on my post where you can kind of read between the lines who's a diehard Democrat, who's a diehard Republican, who wants to defend their cause to the end regardless because they're so in love with their side. They'll never look at the other side, no matter what anybody tries to convince them of. The bottom line is this. My post was intended to be an eye-opener about how screwed up this can be if we don't focus on the problem at hand. All the other agenda, I'm not saying isn't going to affect other people, isn't important to many other people. But if the businesses fail, that's the domino. That's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back. This country is built on small business. I think the stat is something like 50% of the payroll and all that stuff comes from small businesses. And I think, is that deemed under 500 employees? Those businesses have to survive. So even if we have to print this money, which it kind of sucks, we're going to have ramifications down the line. There's going to be issues as a result of this. But if this is what saves the ship, come on, let's get this together. Let's not play games. Let's not try to, tie stuff together, bundle stuff together. Whatever's causing that to not get funded, come on. And in closing, I saw somebody had commented something that had said, and I'm saying this wrong because I'm not reading what it was, so you can see the comment. But it was something like, depending on what's worded and what's tied, you have to kind of be careful about what's worded. So if, for example, and I'm going to paraphrase it, but if the Republicans, if they're saying, hey, we get your firstborn child of, whatever, if you sign this, well, I could see why they'd be pissed and why they wouldn't sign it. But I also don't think it's like that severe. I think they're just playing games and they're trying to hey, if you do this, we'll approve this. If you do these things for it, if they're doing any of that, if they're doing any of this, we'll sign if you do this crap, stop it, cut it out. Us small business owners that have employees that need jobs, you can only pay that unemployment for so long. These companies aren't going to be there much longer. So if unemployment for the average person goes for 3 or 4 months, think about that for a second. At what point is it enough? At what point do we put our differences aside and realize this is about humanity? This is about our common friends. This is our neighbors. This is who we're concerned about. Everybody's going to look left and look right and see for sale signs or eviction notices or foreclosure notices. People are going to starve. This is going to increase so many bad things. The suicide rate's probably going to go up. You think depression's been bad? Watch what happens when people have nothing. Nothing because the government was being selfish and not acting. So please, the fact that this ran out of money so fast, this is ridiculous. I do have to commend, though, I will say one thing. I do commend the fact that during this crisis versus like 2008, 2009, when that happened, I remember this is what angered me and frustrated me more than anything. It was something that I've said over and over and over. They bailed out all the big businesses, but they didn't help the small businesses. They didn't help the little guys. They didn't do that. And I said, wow, it'd be nice someday if the government would bail me out if I'm going through tough times. And they're doing that. They're helping us right now get through this. This is huge. So we got to band together as a society, as a country. Let's stop arguing. It's kind of like the timeout. Let's just all take a timeout and put our differences aside and let's get through this together. I'm telling you guys, I got up super early in the morning. It's almost midnight. It's approaching midnight here, Central Standard Time in the United States on April 16th. I've been up since early in the morning. I've worked all day nonstop and I just felt compelled to do this. I hope you found value in this. If you've got any useful information, anything that would help the cause of trying to help this SBA get going, let's all collaborate, put our minds together. Be well, everybody. See you on the next video.